I'm going to show you how I repot my Phalaenopsis orchids. So you're going to need orchid bark and sphagnum moss. This is a lovely Phalaenopsis schilleriana that I picked up from the Wellington Orchid Society show last weekend. So you just want to jimmy the orchid out of the pot, try and preserve as many healthy roots as you can. This can be a bit of a challenge as sometimes they grow through the bottom, but just be gentle and just try your best not to break that root. Now you can see I was just being super cautious, took a few tries, but eventually I got the roots out, and now we have our lovely Phalaenopsis orchid. So we can move on to the repotting stage. She's really gorgeous. So the first thing we want to do here is check the roots. So you want to take your pruning shears and remove any dried or mushy roots. These are just going to degrade further in the pot and cause problems. So you just want to check each root, make sure that there's no disease, damaged, dry or mushy parts, and cut them off. Here I'm just spraying the roots down with some solution of hydrogen peroxide. So that's going to control any fungal problems or any pest problems that are on the roots already. And now she's ready to go into a new pot. So this is the clear 9 centimeter pot, and I'm just putting some sphagnum moss in the bottom of the pot, tapping it down. I'm not compacting the moss, I'm just pushing it down so that it's firmly in the bottom. I'm going to pop my orchid in there and arrange the plant so it's in the position that I want. And now I'm just adding some of the bark chips, orchid bark. So the goal here is to create layers between sphagnum moss and bark chips. So I'm going to do a layer of bark chips. You can tap it down, make sure it settles and there's no big gaps. And then I'm going to come back in with more moss and do another layer of sphagnum moss. Super easy. So the goal here is to have the moss be able to distribute water evenly throughout the pot while the bark chips are providing aeration. So I'm going in there with another layer of bark chips. And it helps to have a little dabber or a chopstick so you can get in there, make sure there's no big gaps. Just make sure everything is settled. You don't want to compress it down, but just have the media settled together. Fill in any holes. And now I'm going again with some more bark chips. And you can really see those layers now through the side of the pot. And just speeding up this last bit. So I'm tapping it down. I think I'm going to finish with one more layer of sphagnum moss. And one more layer of bark chips. Now if you see white flecks on this orchid, don't worry, it's not merely bugs or spider mites. It's just the leftover fertilizer from the nursery where this was grown. Sometimes you do get the residues of fertilizers or pest control on the leaves. It's nothing to worry about. I'm just finishing off with the top layer of bark. So you always want to finish with bark at the top. So that's going to try and help prevent any algae growth in the sphagnum moss. It's going to block out the light to the wettest part of the media. Okay, now she's all done. You can clearly see the layers between moss and bark. This is a really stunning Phalaenopsis. I love the patterned leaves, meaning it looks good all year round, even when not in bloom. Beautiful. And she's ready to grow. So now here I am with my gorgeous Phalaenopsis. I also have a couple of other orchids that need to do the same with. So I picked up this Phalaenopsis tetraspis and a vanilla orchid, which is really cool because they're quite hard to find, and I've been wanting one for ages. There's also this little guy, which is a type of catasetum. Yeah, so I'm going to carry on. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same with the second Phalaenopsis. This is the Phal tetraspis, which is supposed to bloom in different splotches of red and white, and each flower is supposed to be a different pattern. Okay, so again, I'm doing the same thing, layering sphagnum moss and bark chips together. Let's bed this one up, give it a wee shake, make sure it's all settled down, and always get in there with the handy dabber. And here we go, final product, looking good in the black cover pot. And I'll quickly show you what I did with the vanilla. So same steps, take it out of the pot, check the roots for any rot. There was a little bit on the end of the stem that was brown, so I cut that off and sanitized it with the hydrogen peroxide solution. Checked the other roots and they seemed all good to go. So same again, 9 centimeter clear pot, sphagnum moss, position the orchid, and then go in with the layers of bark and more moss. I haven't grown this type of orchid before, so it'll be quite interesting to see how it grows in the house. This is actually the vanilla that you might find flavoring your ice cream or desserts. Yeah, I think it's really cool to be growing vanilla in the house. A lot of people don't know, but the vanilla that we use for flavoring, that's actually from an orchid seed pod. So I'm stoked to get my hands on this one. I'm going to do one more layer of bark, and then because the vanilla likes to climb, I'm going to add a trellis, just so she's not growing all over the place. There we go with the trellis. And I'll probably clip it on once she gets a bit bigger, but for now, she's happy just to sit there. So here's the whole gang, all potted up and ready to go. If you need any of the supplies, clear pots, sphagnum moss, bark, hydrogen peroxide, or anything in this video, check out my online store, or come and see us in Wellington, New Zealand. We have a store called the Foliage Studio. I'll leave the link in the description so you can check it out. Message us if you have any questions, and have an awesome day.